Hey guys, Harry here for the final take 5 of the week. Today we're digging into Acts 18. Um, and here we're kind of seeing now Paul's travelled to Corinth after he's left Athens. And what we see in the first few verses of this passage is that he meets this couple, this married couple called Aquila and Priscilla, who he stays with. And it says here that he worked with them as tent makers. And like we're 2 verses in, and again, this is what usually happens to me. I kind of get stuck in one place for a little while, and that's exactly what happened to me when I was reading through this passage. I heard the word tent maker, and my ears pricked up, and I was like, oh yeah, that interests me. Um, you know, I'm a bit partial to a tent. Those of you that know me, I love a bit of camping and being outside. In God's creation, it's such an amazing privilege to be able to do that. And so I kind of thought, oh yeah, thinking about tent making, and I was thinking about it as a job, right? So I know a guy that he used to be a professional tent maker, and he used to make these amazing canvas tents. And they were like spectacles. People would try and buy them and come down, from all over the country to purchase one of them and take them back. And these were things of like really, he had put in like really hard work to make these. The materials were expensive, so he couldn't really afford to make many mistakes when he was making them. And the materials were often brutal as well, because they were really heavy duty. These things are made to withstand storm after storm and year after year. And he prided himself on the fact that these could be legacy items that you could pass down to your children and their children. Which kind of was testament to the amount of work that he put in. But this kind of often showed in his hands, that it was hard work what he was doing. And this is kind of would have been the same in this time, of Paul and Silas and Timothy and the rest of these guys, these tent makers here. It would have been the same. It's hard work, it was laborious, and actually the tents needed to be able to do their function. They needed to be able to protect the people that they were going to be housing. But what it meant for Paul, particularly in this passage, even though it's just the first few verses, this hard work, this labour, this job, this graft that he was doing, meant that actually on that other one day, on the Sabbath, he could then go and preach. And it makes me think about each of us, actually, and the tent making, in quotation marks, that we do each day. The jobs that we go out and do, and which are often hard, and are super time consuming. We spend most of our living time, don't we, in our jobs, right? But it allows us to have the finances to be able to pay our bills, right, and to also give back to God. And those jobs, those tent making situations actually create platforms for other ministries, especially when we're giving to churches, and we give into things like Sunny Hill, when we give in our tithe. But it's also, although sometimes the danger is, right, that we can get caught up in the thought of like official ministry being, such as preaching, or like my job sometimes, where I'm working intentionally with young people talking about Jesus, like that can be seen like as official ministry. But the daily grind, the tent making, like what Paul was doing here, it actually allows us to be constantly being a witness and providing opportunities to help others learn and grow in their faith. We have a word for that, don't we? That is actually discipleship. And I think all too often, sometimes, the daily work and the example that we set in our daily lives can be overlooked. But that is a powerful and profound ministry in itself. So I kind of feel like, although it's just briefly mentioned here, like that they were tent makers, the act of these guys working hard the majority of the time as secular tent makers, right? They weren't fashioning tents for temples or anything. They were making them for the people. Is actually demonstrating just actually faith in action, isn't it? And it's the ultimate embodiment and example of Jesus is living out right there. And so I would just encourage us, like, actually, sometimes it can be hard, like work can be hard, and we can get bulked down by doing the daily stuff. But actually what you're doing is you're going out there, you're being a witness to others, even though it's not overt ministry. It's like actually undercover ops, isn't it? You're kind of getting in there and you're being an example of who Christ is, and you're growing in your faith by doing that too. So I just want to live you a bit of encouragement for the final part of the week, and just say thank you to everybody that is creating opportunities to be examples like Jesus in the work that they do, but then also being able to kind of give back their finances, whether they've supported me on doing some of the stuff I've done, or you're giving your money back to God through Sunny Hill. Actually, you're providing another platform of ministry to take place, which is a privilege for us to do. And so I just want to say thank you to all you guys for doing the tent making. So to all you tent makers out there, thank you so much for all that you do, weathering us from the storms, and yeah, thank you. So have a lovely week, lovely weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.